Not bad.
And Shank even shot a 63 day one. And
Hovland is 6 strokes up.
Hovland was
Hovland's
6 strokes up,
been
and
pooing on
Harbaugh
people.
and Harbaugh was handed a 3-game suspension from his own university. Let's talk about it.
Shouldn't do those things. No free cheeseburgers in the Big Ten.
Smart way to
Next
get it out of
question.
the way this year. Smart.
You can't get your
Yeah.
natty taken now.
Got to be there for the Texas game next week or next year, week 2.
I don't think he is. He might
Well,
be in Texas, but he might be coaching the Houston Texans.
No way Ryans gets fired after 1 year.
Touche.
Might be a brownie.
Could be not a bad thing. Stefanski's on a leash.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Stefanski. It's a good thing Michigan doesn't play a game till November. That's cool.
Yeah, as I say, high school teams through September, yeah, I'm worried about. You could send them home until October, mid-October, and be okay.
They call them tune-up games.
Isn't that what spring practice is for?
I guess. I don't know. I guess my initial thought was the NCAA rejected the 4-game suspension that was being negotiated upon, and then you just a couple weeks later turn around and go, "Oh, well, 4, okay, we'll just go 3." Like we'll do a less suspension than what you rejected.
Must be
So,
scared of that week 4 game against Rutgers.
well, no, so but it's like to me that's just like okay, so like if the NCAA is gonna do anything, like wouldn't that just kind of like piss them off? Like, oh hey, we rejected your 4-game
Yeah,
suspension.
you're undermining your boss, technically, I guess,
Yeah.
if that's how you really want to get into it.
Well, I'm just saying like that's just what I initially was like my initial like reaction was like, oh, you're undermining them, okay.
God.
Yeah, like what's gonna come now at the end when they were gonna hand down their suspension now? Like,
What were they going to do, though? I mean, you gave away some free food, and you can't take a natty.
well,
JJ's not going to win the Heisman. You're not going to be able to
so
bowl ban him.
well, I guess it's like from the report that was released, it's more than just like buying the kid a cheeseburger or whatever. It was more or less about how they were holding unsanctioned
Zoom workouts.
well, it's like just unsanctioned rather workouts and activities during like the COVID dead period or whatever when you weren't supposed to
So,
be like doing really much anything football related.
I
So
think it's 2021, I think is what
yeah,
it's from.
and or something back
so
then.
if
So
the 4 of us all get together, agree on a workout, and we start sending snaps to each other, oh, I'm working out.
that's
Is that an
different.
unsanctioned workout?
It's
No,
they were
that's
Same thing.
holding
different, but
they
they
were
had
having like
coaches involved.
no,
Like
the coaches were on a Zoom
Zoom
and
with players.
it was like a voluntary workout, but players showed up in the Zoom and they were like working out on what they were saying to do apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, to
Sounds
be
hokey.
honest, I think the suspension, the whole thing to me is a joke. The NCAA has bigger problems than whatever Michigan did, whatever that is. They've got bigger problems, it seems, but they want to dig into it. So, it is what it is. The suspension to me is smart. It's going to
Oh,
lessen, at least there's discipline for when they do come to a resolution. They have to at least take into the fact that he was suspended 3 games
yeah.
regardless of what it'll happen if he's the coach next year or if he goes to the NFL or does something else, regardless, I think it potentially kind of puts it on the back burner. It doesn't matter. No one's going to talk about it again until next off season when the NCAA decides to bring it up again.
Oh
It
yeah,
just kind of
the
it allows. I think it also allows the players to just kind of focus on football.
Kind of like an under the table buyout type of deal.
That's right.
So,
dig it.
yeah, well, I mean, like, it obviously nothing's going to be done, like, during the season. They said that they're going to wait till the end of the season to release what their sanctions or their disciplinary action will be. And then in the wake of that, Harbaugh released, Corey, you sent me the head coaching schedule or
That's wild.
whatever.
Harbaugh
Harbaugh gonna
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh, and like I had to like laugh because I was like, you just didn't pick one guy, you know?
Group
Like,
effort. Auditions for next season.
well, and then I guess like you were telling us before the show, Sharon Moorcourt, you said is now suspended 1 game for his role and
from the
everything.
university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
hmm
that kind of makes sense why you may have not just handed it to Sharon Moore, but I don't know. I just kind of was like laughing. I was like, is Harbaugh holding like basically an open style interview here?
That's what it seems like.
Well, the more and more I look into it and people talk and everything like that, it could be who's the next guy if he's gone next year.
I think that's what
Fills
he's
out my-
really setting.
Kind of thing. Now, again, we don't know. Harbaugh has said that he wants to stay at Michigan as long as Michigan will have him. So, we'll see what happens.
He
Again,
says that, and his actions
and
are another. So
I mean, but
Every coach ever.
yeah,
and he hired
Mhm.
his dad to be the associate head coach for all 3 games while he's suspended. I think it was 3 games instead of 4, just because of the Big Ten starting on that 4th game. I think they just wanted him to be there. I don't think. First of all, I think the university thinks that Harbaugh it's kind of a joke and did a lesser penalty because they think the NCAA is just probably going to look into it further and just say, okay, 3 games was enough. We originally said 4, but you did 3. We're not going to go over 1 game when you play San Jose State. You can just coach. Who cares?
Look at that Rutgers game.
But
I think it's cool. It's nice. It'll be a nice little kind of introduction for all these potential head coach candidates. But I think it's also a troll job by Harbaugh in Michigan. I mean, we all know the NCAA sucks. The only reason they're doing this is to try and show us that they have some sort of power left. They really don't. I think Harbaugh knows that. I think this whole thing's a joke. So I think that having all the different head coaches, the second game they're splitting the halves, I think it's just a troll job.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, I agree that it's a troll job, but I think it's fantastic what he's doing and how he's basically sticking it at the NCAA.
Yeah.
If I had to take a pick, I'd probably lean towards Minter or Mike Hart, I guess, if you're looking ahead. But I don't know. I think Jesse Minter is going to bring a great scheme to this team this year. So should be a fun time.
I mean, it's very possible that after this year, Sharon Moore, Jesse Minter, and Mike Hart are all head coaches. So either at Michigan
Here
or
or
somewhere
elsewhere.
else. Right.
Guest
Yeah.
appearance.
That's right. It's to me, it's just something that's very possible just because Sharon Moore was already being talked about. Jesse Minter his name was in a couple of coaching jobs, was interviews. So, it just seems like it's just a matter of time before they're a head coach somewhere else or at Michigan. Now, a couple of them have said that they would prefer to just be in a good situation opposed to being forced into something. So again, take that for what it is. Money talks. If someone offers you a lot of money to be the head coach, it seems like they might take it. But yeah, I mean, I think the NCAA hates Harbaugh. Everybody hates Harbaugh. Nick, you and I have this conversation all the time. I feel like Harbaugh gets in the ref's face, penalty,
but
every time.
Doesn't help himself not be hateable. I mean, I understand that it's a perception thing, and he could be a great guy, but he does no justice for himself.
Yeah,
he makes himself just a giant D-bag.
100%. But
so
At the same time, it just feels like it's always been like that. I feel like
Yeah.
he's hated across the country, regardless of who you root for. They
Right.
just kind of hate, they just have a bad perception of him, it seems.
But see,
He
like
doesn't help himself.
I don't think that really happened until he started what he was doing at like the antics and like the
Really?
not the antics. I'm not gonna say antics. That was the wrong word. Um, the mannerisms that he's been using, because like I don't remember this like disdain for Harbaugh when he was in college when he was at Stanford.
But that's because, but
You know what I'm
but
saying?
it's when he left. When he left, Stanford had
it's
a
just the
bad
way he
perception of
carries
him.
himself.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
it's
fully the
not.
way
So
he carries himself.
It's his way or no way. That's the way he does things, and it's
Right.
just you
right,
either
but
are on
like
board with it or are not. And
right,
so
but I'm just
you
saying
either
like
are going to
this.
nitpick it or not.
Well, no, but what I'm saying though is like I don't feel like I just don't remember this like
The Niners had
media.
a problem when Harbaugh left. The Niners had a very big problem with Harbaugh when he left.
They cleaned house when he left, didn't they?
They had
That was,
he's left a stain or a bad taste in your mouth when he leaves. It doesn't necessarily have to be a stain. Just it's the way, like you said, it's the way he goes about things.
it's kind of like a
He
scorched
it
earth type of
Yeah,
deal.
he knows that the
Hmm.
spotlight is on him, and he just does himself. He's
I
just
agree.
gonna hardball. He doesn't care if you like him or not. He doesn't care if you see him doing things that he does. He doesn't care. Not saying that he's a great person or a terrible person. It's just Harbaugh, wherever he is gonna do him. It doesn't matter, and I think that's what coaches or front offices are afraid of, because they're going to give them the keys, and he's going to basically try to become the GM and manage the team how he wants to, not be told how to do it. And
Fair.
at Michigan, he has that ability. Not to be rude, but RAD is kind of a pushover. Ward Manuel is a pushover. When anything bad happens, Ward Manuel just covers it up, or just does a stupid penalty. Hey, this is what's happening. And I don't like Ward Manuel. I don't think he's the right guy. You can look at last year. There was I don't exactly remember what was going on with it, but there was something going on. He was trying to do something about it, or I think it was like they were trying to. Ward Manuel came out and was trying to maybe get rid of Harbaugh after he took NFL things, and the president Santa Ono had to kind of step in and get Harbaugh back on board because Harbaugh doesn't like Ward Manuel. So it just kind of again, Harbaugh gonna Harbaugh. He's doing things his way. He's doing things his way, and that's the way it is. And it kind of is like at Stanford he did that, but also Stanford at that time was kind of, again, the Pac-12 was not really much outside of
Relevant.
USC. So
I mean,
then he went to the NFL and he caused chaos. Can't deny him. He's a great head coach, regardless of where he goes. He's an unbelievable head coach, and he does things the way he wants to be. The
I
way
just
he
feel
wants to
like
do
the
them.
NFL is more of that like atmosphere where you can, as a head coach, do what you want if you're in the right organization. You know what I
You
mean? Like,
absolutely can, but he's not going to
Yeah.
change the way he does things.
so like if you're like in that, well, no doubt, but like let's just be honest, Bill Cowher did what he wanted, did things his way when he was in Pittsburgh.
He
Same
produced.
thing. Well, you're right, but like same thing with Mike Tomlin. He's
He
done the
produces.
You're not
But I
wrong.
don't think using the
Hold on.
Steelers is a
But
good
no,
example,
but
because they
listen.
have a standard for what they set, and no matter what the record is, they have to win games. However, no matter what the
You're
record is,
not
they have
wrong,
coaches that last for 20, 25
but
years.
they
They
do
don't
it
just
there.
switch coaches every.
You're not wrong, but the ownership has that thing of we are ownership. We are just front office people. Our jobs are front office. His job is football and football operations. That's the way
That's
they
fair.
run their organizations. That's the way Robert Kraft runs the New England Patriots, and it's highly successful. And when you get people in like a Bill Belichick doesn't listen to what the fuck Robert Kraft has to say. There
Why
ain't
would he?
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck because he's one of the best coaches in the NFL, right? And what I'm saying though is like when you are in one of those types of organizations, Harbaugh would shine in one of those types of organizations where the ownership realizes we're the ownership, we are, we're just the front office guys, you're the football mind, go win football games, let us take care of the financials and everything else regarding it, right?
So if he can come to Indy and keep Ursay drunk, we might succeed
See,
coming up. Like I'd be cool with that.
yeah.
Like
Well, like, so, yeah. I
that's what
mean,
I need.
like Harbaugh, like I guess okay. So like, here's the thing: is like Harbaugh would not be successful in the NFL as like the Cowboys head coach, where Jerry Jones has his hand in literally everything that his head coach is doing, and basically is the owner, GM, and head coach of the team, right?
To be
That's
fair, no one's really successful in
successful.
Dallas.
That's factual.
Not since the '90s,
They
but
bring it upon themselves.
when you had
Yeah,
two
even
Hall of
those
Famers.
coaches were sort of successful.
I mean, so well, yeah. I mean, when you have
They
Steve
won
Young
Super
and
Bowls, but
when you have Steve Young and Emmitt Smith, you better win something. Or Troy
Why
Aikman,
was
sorry.
I'll say why
Sorry,
was
Troy
Steve Young
Aikman.
in Dallas? I
Sorry,
had
that
so
was
many questions.
Troy Aikman.
What
Trey Lance, what?
Wrong
timeline are you
90s
on?
wrong 90s 80s QB.
I mean, Michael Irvin was doing coke, so I
Yeah.
guess that helps catch
But like
footballs.
and then but in college, when you're like a college head coach, yes, you're the CEO of that entire program, so you are able to run your things the way you want to, which fits Jim Harbaugh's coaching style.
Yeah, if you're a strong coach, you're higher than the AD.
Yeah. Just, is what it is, unless you do some horrible things that, you gotta resign for.
Like sell trophies and tattoos.
Which is like the most ridiculous thing in the world, but
it sounds pretty bad. Next question, Your Honor.
Yeah, question.
I don't like I said, I don't think the Steelers are a good example just because no matter who they bring in, they run the same. It's the same thing. The Steelers really haven't changed. Their defense has been the same for the last 30 years. But I understand what you're saying. The issue is the most of these NFL teams don't want to put up with the antics of Harbaugh because Harbaugh would have had a head coaching job 2 years ago if they would have been willing to do that. They don't want to put up with him because they know what he brings. It's to be honest, the only thing I can think of, regardless, without like arrests and things like that, it's very much like he brings like his own aura, like Urban Meyer. When Urban Meyer goes somewhere, he brings that with him. Regardless of what that is, yeah, he wins football games, and that's what he's there to do.
But at what price?
But he brings that extra.
It's the what price are you willing to hire?
Exactly.
So
100%, and that's
at
the
what
best
price?
comparison I can think of to that is also the LeBron James effect.
Yep. At what price are you willing to sell to win?
What are we going to trade? Who do you want to bring in that I want to bring in? What are you going to leave? But all that said, when you leave, it's
what's left?
The shell that's left. It's the scorched earth.
Yep.
You did everything to try and do it now, but what's next? What you have nothing to build on.
You're not wrong. That is like
Harbaugh leaves. Harbaugh leaves,
and
you got 2 years that you're probably fringe, and then you're going to drop back down to a 500 team.
And honestly, there's only
like
one.
Stanford.
There's only like one coach in like sports that, or not sports, but like in football that I could think of that's active right now. That's probably like on that level of like the media just isn't like doesn't like him is Bill Belichick, because he kind of does the same shit that Harbaugh does.
Belichick leaves his personality at the door. Harbaugh carries him at all times.
No, right, but it's like different
all the time.
Where Harbaugh talks smack.
Louder.
Yeah, he's a lot louder, but like Belichick he just goes like Harbaugh will like go on like rants where Belichick will be like, that was a stupid fucking question. Next.
He's like
Yeah, but
Greg
Belichick's
You know,
Popovich.
earned that
You
right.
don't want to
Yeah.
interview him, but you have to because you know it's good TV.
yeah,
It's
either
like
way.
Popovich.
Yep.
You know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
He's going to give a stupid
That's another
answer,
one.
but it's so good for TV that you have to interview him because people don't like the way he interviews. It's
Love
just
Pop.
Love
it's
Pop.
right. It's one of those things where it's like Harbaugh. You're just like any coach. You're gonna love him or you're gonna hate him, regardless of what he does. If he wins football games, typically schools, if you win football games, are gonna just kind of look the other direction. And and to be honest,
It's true.
it's one of those things where it's like I could see Harbaugh leaving to go to the NFL, but I could also see no NFL team wanting him because of the antics that he brings. And now,
Okay.
not to be rude, but like he's been in the NFL before, has won games, he can be successful, but he leaves that trail, and that's what the 49ers had to do with it. And so as an owner in the NFL, are you willing to sacrifice the trail? Is that worth winning? And that, I mean,
So
and let's be honest, like New England, when Belichick
I
retires,
agree with
there's a
that.
trail. There's going to be a trail.
Trail, right.
Right. So I agree with that. But okay, so let's carry that one step further. Where does he go? Who's willing to take that trail? Seriously, Cleveland?
No.
Atlanta? Who's willing to take those trails?
Not. That's what I'm
To the
saying.
next level.
No, there's. To be honest,
There's
there's
gotta
like
be
a
somebody
couple.
that would want it.
The Raiders,
Washington?
because all they care about winning. Teams who only care about winning,
The
who have been
Raiders
so
may.
bad that they only. Well,
The
the Raiders
Raiders
just
may.
only care about winning. The Raiders only care about winning. They don't care about shit. They let freaking Tom Brady be the freaking
Owner?
minority owner.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
so
you can,
Tom Brady. I mean,
it
I
didn't
could
work
see
for
the
Michael
Raiders.
Jordan. No one said it's going to work for Tom Brady.
I mean, Michael Jordan made a crap ton of money off of that.
Tom Brady already has a crap ton of money, though.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
like who in the NFL?
Michael
I
bought
agree,
it.
the
What did
Raiders.
he buy that franchise for? Like 300.
Cheap.
The expansion was like 300 million, and then he
Yeah.
sold his majority shares for 3.3 billion.
Not
So
bad,
like,
but what was his win-loss record?
yeah, well,
Negative.
that's the thing.
Negative,
Exactly.
negative,
What's
negative.
negative?
They
right.
took Adam Morrison.
Gerald Wallace.
Yeah, they took
and
a crap
that's
ton,
why I
but
said, and that's what I've
Michael
always said
Kidd
though.
Gilchrist.
But going back to like the point core is, like I was saying, I think it takes the perfect situation for Harbaugh to step into the NFL. Like he would have to go to a New England.
Could you see him going to Arizona to pick up the pieces?
Fuck that.
Depends on.
No.
See, I don't think so.
I could see
So you
Lincoln
think
Riley
it's-
going to the NFL after this year.
Someone on a past streak. So would Harbaugh go to the Chargers? Would Harbaugh, if they have a bum season, is he going to go to? I mean, who would you top three? Who do you think he would go to, regardless of their history? Looking at the roster and his ability to
I think
get
the
wins.
most attractive job would be Indianapolis, just because of his
As a
history with them.
player, right?
I could see somewhere like Seattle if they went in a different direction from Pete Carroll because they went college coach previously. I could see that happening. I could potentially see like the Dolphins. The Dolphins are kind of interesting because their owner went to Michigan and
Yeah, but I
donates
think
a crap ton of money to Michigan
you're not.
every year. So if Harbaugh was looking to leave, not like the Miami Dolphins owner came out and said that he would never poach Harbaugh from Michigan. So the issue would be is if Harbaugh's done at Michigan and wants to go to the NFL, that makes a lot of
Does he
sense.
get rid of his young head coach for Harbaugh?
I don't know that you
Well,
could get
I
rid
mean,
of
if
McDaniel.
he's got,
Yeah.
I understand. However, the Dolphins are going to have one of the more loaded, talented NFL teams, and if they disappoint in a very loaded division that they're in,
Yeah, but
You're
you
not
got the mad scientist. Even though you're
I-
looking at finishing third in
See-
your division, you can still make the playoffs.
And I know we're getting a little
I'm
off
not.
topic
I'm not
here.
saying. Hey, look, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like it's. I think
Well-
the Dolphins are something. Seattle, and
Drew-
I think
Drew, I know we're getting a little
Maybe.
off topic here, but let me ask you this question. Do you feel with the Dolphins situation that their success is more or less on the balance of if Tua's healthy rather than like a coaching talent situation?
I think it's a good balance of both for sure. I mean, I think McDaniel's a great coach, but Miami's expectations are very high right now. So if you're not hitting those high expectations with the talent that they have, with or without Tua, there could be a change there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see Miami moving, but off of McDaniel, I mean, if you find a way to beat out the Jets and finish second, I mean, you can still win the division. Any of those three teams can win that AFC East. But all I'm saying is if Harbaugh makes that move forward on an appealing level, an owner's going to take that chance. And I could see it being an Indy or Cleveland. It's somebody that wants to win now and not worried about anything else they're building.
That
I mean,
see,
he's an Ohio guy. He could stay right here in the Midwest.
Yeah, I've thought about the Browns, but
The Raiders, they're a win now program.
I think the thing with the Browns is that the Haslams are so involved that whoever the head coach is kind of fucked because
and
the trash owners are involved.
And that's another exactly how involved is the ownership within the football operations? Because like
the Glazers, are they pretty bad in Tampa Bay? He could go down to Tampa Bay.
He could. Tampa's would be an attractive job, but I feel like Harbaugh, he would need a QB, and I feel like Harbaugh would want to more or less step into a team who he knows like has talent, like Cleveland. Seattle has some talent, like Corey was saying, and I think like those would be attractive jobs to him just because he knows like, oh, I could go in there and year 1, year 2 be in the AFC Championship game.
Who drafts JJ McCarthy?
In the 5th round? To anybody.
I think he'll go like 2nd or 3rd round.
That 4th round San Fran just got.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, that could be a nice landing spot. Just Trey Lance 2.0.
I mean, I think those could be.
Except he can actually throw the ball.
Trey Lance is just gun shy.
If the pandemic didn't happen, Trey Lance would have never been drafted where he was.
That's not true. If Harbaugh was in the NFL, he'd be making Trey Lance a superstar.
I don't think save that ankle.
Yeah, but I don't think
he ain't gonna save that ankle.
Yeah, but in Trey Lance, he was the byproduct and the layover of, oh well, a few years ago this is what Carson Wentz did coming out of that program. Well, let's take a chance on him.
And you see what happened to Carson Wentz.
Yep. And Trey Lance was a bum to start with. Unfortunately,
it's just you have to be in the right. You have to be in the right spot at the right time. I mean, you could even put Dak Prescott in that mess because Dak Prescott was not. He was a 4th round pick out of what A&M or Mississippi State, and he was never highly touted. He came in, won the job. I mean, Russell Wilson's a 3rd round pick, came in and won the job. Was really good, but he had it's kind of about the situation you go into. Russell Wilson, when he was in Seattle, all his job was not turn it over. We can punt, our defense will stop you. So, I mean, it's about the situation you're in.
So what you're saying is Russell Wilson was the Craig Krenzel of the Seattle Seahawks?
Yes.
Managed the game?
No. Russell was playing at an MVP level. There's nothing that I've seen on anything on Trey Lance that says that he would have been an MVP caliber of a quarterback.
He was playing at an MVP level that year. He messed up his ankle. I think it was the ankle. I'm going to stick on that.
Was it like 4 games? He was in there for like 4 games.
Who was on fire? Good. Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing good.
4 games, you can't judge an MVP season.
He got hurt.
Thank you.
What do you want? But I mean, Carson Wentz wasn't good. He was in an unbelievable situation in Philadelphia.
Did you see the weapons around Trey Lance?
Well, yeah,
And
he's
then
got
they
it.
picked up CMC.
I mean, if you can't beat out Sam Darnold, then you don't deserve to be in the NFL. To me,
Sam Darnold's trying
I
now.
Well,
He
I
knows
think
the
it's
here we
job's
go.
open.
I think it's ridiculous that everyone thinks Brock Purdy is amazing. He's only
Absolutely.
played like 4 or 5 games. Like, how are we? Why are we
he's
think
another
he's
one.
so good?
Don't turn it over, and we'll be successful.
It's just the Shanahan offense. Like,
Yep.
there's always a good quarterback. It doesn't matter. Are they great? No.
Oh.
But you
Shanahan
Perez.
just needs an average guy. Let's keep it moving here
Yeah.
though.
Sorry, I
I
saw a
just
Red Bull off track. I got excited.
I want to get your guys' preseason Big Ten awards here. So we're gonna start off with your most likely coach of the year.
Oh, easy. Luke Fickell.
Luke Fickell. Okay. Drew.
James Franklin.
Okay. Core.
It's so tough. I don't believe in James Franklin. I think Fickle is an easy choice.
Drop the Brett Bielema.
I'm gonna go Matt Rule.
Like it. Love it.
I'm gonna toss it up between Fickle and Matt Rule. Either or, I think could win it this year. Would be coach of the
I mean,
year.
I also would think Ryan Day and Harbaugh are up there too. I mean, if a team goes 12-0, if a team goes 12-0, it's hard not to. It's you know what I'm saying? Like it's. I mean, like Fickle can go 10-2 and probably wins that anyway. Rule, I think, if he wins 8 games with Nebraska's roster, I mean that's better than what they've been. So that's something to maybe think about. It's hard at the top. James Franklin is Penn State is 12-0. James Franklin wins it. If Ohio State's 12-0, Ryan Day probably wins it. Harbaugh's the same at Michigan. If you go 12-0 in a conference, they're going to give it to you. It just seems that way.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. I mean, plus odds are if you go 12-0 and you're one of the big 3, you beat the other 2 teams that you have to play. So
true. Yeah. I also though do think that they may take into consideration though, like if for coach of the year, like okay, well Ohio State, Michigan were projected to either be 11-1 or 12-0, so they met expectations. Their coaches, did basically their job. Nebraska and Matt Rule exceeded their expectations this year, right? Or Wisconsin and Luke Fickell exceeded expectations in their first year together. I think that could actually propel them above an undefeated Ryan Day or Harbaugh.
I think if Fickell wins 9 or 10 games and takes the West, he gets coach of the year.
Yeah, me too. Regardless if Ohio State or Michigan go undefeated, just because of what what you stepped
what
into.
What you were given.
Exactly. Everything. Your expectation was here. You exceeded it. These guys met their expectation, right?
Right.
So they didn't do anything astonishing to us, right? So, now, I mean, I think you would have to put, for Harbaugh and Ryan Day to win Coach of the Year, I think you have to have one of the greatest seasons in Big Ten history. You
have to unequivocally beat the tar out of the other teams.
Oh, we're talking like shutting teams out, winning games 69-3, and that's not even like just the teams that you should beat that way. That's beating Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State, or Michigan, for those teams that way too.
By 20 plus.
No, not even 20. I'm talking 30 plus. You would have to dominate. You would have to dominate everybody.
That's fair.
But
I think
that's just my opinion with it. That's just my opinion, with that. Let's move on to Player of the Year. Who do you guys think the Big Ten Player of the Year would be?
I want to deviate. I didn't want to just take Marvin Harrison Jr. What actually left me torn between 2 other guys, and I took Drew Allar over Tanner Mordecai.
Okay.
Nice.
I didn't want to stick with the easy answers. But probably Marvin Harrison Jr. But I locked in Drew Allar.
Yeah, I I have a list of 5. Obviously, Harrison Jr. is the favorite, but I think Emeka Egbuka could be a surprise because obviously everyone's going to double Marvin. But my player of the year is Braylon Allen.
Like it.
Like it.
I like it. Core?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a running back. I don't know. I really think it's to me it's either going to be like Blake Corum, could be Donovan Edwards, it could be Braylon Allen. I think it could even be Travion Henderson coming back from injury. I think he's going to be a huge part of Ohio State's offense. So I think a running back wins it. I probably would go Donovan Edwards if I had to be kind of shock everyone. But I think he's going to be on the field a lot more than people think in the passing game, and he
Over
might have
Singleton?
he might have like 800 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards kind of year. So
You
I
guys not
probably
have
would
any
go.
other receivers up there?
We do, but hey, it's
Screw it with you.
hard to cover a running back out of the backfield sometimes.
Especially someone as
So
beastly
I
as
would
him.
probably go Donovan Edwards. I mean, I also think you could have whoever wins Ohio State's quarterback competition could be the player of the year. Marvin Harrison is going to have a big year. And again, like we talked about for coach of the year, I think it's kind of like it's assumed he's going to win it. So unless somebody does something unbelievable that hasn't been done, it's going to have to do something like that. I mean, JJ McCarthy probably is in there too. If, Michigan's going to be good, he's going to probably have to throw for a good whatever. So, but I'd probably go Donovan Edwards just for the unknown factor as to what he's going to give you in the offense.
Especially if someone from the West goes above and beyond, like the Greek Rifle out in Minnesota. If he shows up, Minnesota wins 9 games, he could win Player of the Year. It's not necessarily,
It's not a given award, right?
but yeah. What you got?
I got obviously the favorite Marvin Harrison Jr., number 18, you know. However, though, my dark horse to win it is Tulia, Maryland. I could
Like it.
see that kid putting up some just stupid stats for being a Maryland quarterback and them winning a
Well, he
lot of
did
games
last
this year.
year. So
Yeah,
I was gonna
but
say
like
it's not out of the ordinary.
no, but I could see him just having like an even better year than he did last year and putting up some really good numbers. And I could see him being at the end of the year being in that conversation.
They were in the West, it'd be a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The worst next on the award list, we gotta do it. We call this the Sacco in our fantasy league, right? In our fantasy league, the Sacco.
Someone needs to come pick up this trophy, by the way.
Yep. And so the worst team in the Big Ten, I think this is going to be a quick one here, so I'm just going to say the 2 teams I think we're all thinking, Northwestern or Butgers.
And then they play each other first week. Quick start.
We all in
I got
agreement.
Western.
Northwestern.
To me, it's either Northwestern or Indiana. I think
Northwestern or
Indiana's
Indiana?
dog shit.
Okay.
I think
Core.
it's Northwestern.
Northwestern as well.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
it's so hard not to pick Rutgers. Even though Rutgers has more talent than everybody, it just seems like they always end up at the bottom. I'm gonna go Purdue.
Okay.
Ooh,
I think they have a lot of talent, but new coaching regime, a lot of stuff going on. Indiana's pretty bad too.
Indiana's
But
dog shit.
I mean, but like Purdue was riding a high from last year.
Mhm.
Everything kind of suddenly changed. I could easily see them only winning 1 or 2 games. So I'm gonna go Purdue.
All right. Next.
Or Purdue.
Purdue, yes.
Yeah.
Would definitely be Purdue.
So worst team, and then we have a disappointing team. So like a team who you think is gonna be good, who could just end up being a disappointment. I'm gonna go here, Nebraska. I think that they could be a little bit of a disappointment for what Matt Rule could do in his first year there. So I'm going to say Nebraska could be our most disappointing team this year.
There's a lot of ways you could go with this. If you're just going off of expectations, if you're going off of win-loss records, if you're going off of playoff respirations, and I'm going off of a little bit of everything, and I actually put Ohio State. I think that with what Penn State and Michigan are bringing to the table, and I'm obviously riding high on Penn State this year personally as a dark horse. Finishing third in your division and not making the conference title game or the playoffs with 4 teams is disappointing with what you're looking at and the immense talent that you're bringing to the table. So my second place was Iowa. I think they're going to have a really disappointing season.
I mean, to be fair, when you're like Ohio State, Michigan, not making the Big Ten championship game, beating your rival, and then making the playoff is just a disappointing season within itself. Like if you don't make the
And
college
Like 3
football,
losses.
and you're going to lose to one of these
Yeah, it's
power
like-
teams at home, possibly.
it-
That's even bigger no.
yeah, and
When you lose to Notre Dame, jeez.
it's
Oh,
just
God. They didn't look so great, but I mean, it was just Navy. I
It
don't think
was
they were
Navy.
playing 100%. Sam Hartman looked fantastic.
but
They threw one pass.
I was just gonna say, like, it's like
They
it's
threw
just
one
like
pass.
like that back to those
Completed or through?
expectations. Just
Yeah.
back to expectations. It's just like the expectations for these programs are here. So I could definitely understand either where you're coming from. That is a disappointment. Drew, your disappointing team.
My disappointment is going to be Iowa. All of the suspensions scare me. I don't know when the team's going to be complete. I think this team could be a 9-win team. I think they could be in the Big Ten title. Those are kind of my expectations. So that's why they're kind of going a disappointment for me. The Cade McNamara injury is scary. He did an interview last week. It doesn't sound like he's doing
that was
well.
weird.
He's
He
like,
did
I'm
not
progressing.
sound
That's all
confident.
I want to say about it.
Yeah.
So that's odd. So I don't know if they can.
Not a confident interview.
Yeah,
No.
no. And like, man, dude, this Iowa schedule's trash. Like they should, like I said, they could win 9-10 games, but I have a bad feeling. I don't know if the offense will turn around, and the suspensions scare me.
Core.
It's so many ways you could go. Yeah, I mean, like Michigan and Ohio State losing and not being in the Big Ten championship and playoff is a disappointment. My gut says Penn State.
I like that.
Hype train. Everyone's
Yeah.
hyping them up,
Mhm.
and then
Absolutely.
they lose like 4 games. Just total disappointment.
And
It
Penn
feels
State.
that way.
So wait,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Depends who
Though,
gets hurt.
Penn State's also having a first-year starter, correct? Drew
Yes.
Aller's their first-year starter. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Because Sean Clifford was there for 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Penn
So-
State is being highly talked about because of the weapons that they have on offense, and then as well as their defense.
The defense.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah, I
Just
could
wanted
also
to make
see.
sure.
I could also see no one talks about him, but they always expect to kind of be bowl eligible and not Michigan State.
Yep.
Michigan State. Again, Michigan State has high expectations for themselves to obviously win the games they should, but Tuck's coming.
So,
It's coming.
all right. Let's move on to the surprise teams. The team that's most likely to surprise everybody. For me, that's Maryland. I think they're the team most likely to surprise a lot of their opponents this year and how good they are. So to me, that's an easy one. Would be
Does
Maryland.
Maryland cause one of the big 3 to finish 4th in the East?
I don't think so, but maybe because they do get some advantageous matchups, especially late in the season where they catch Michigan in between Penn State and Ohio State. So I think, I mean, that's like could potentially be like a little end of the season gauntlet, depending on when you face these teams if they're healthy. Um, so yeah, Maryland could be that team that just goes, oh, we're gonna finish third this year.
Be wild.
Be wild,
It's cool. I love it. Illinois.
like it.
What I got. I love what they've got. I love the coaching staff, the talent that's still there, the talent they produced already. You know that it's possible. Could see them in Indy.
Drew.
Yeah, I agree. I also have Illinois. I think they can win the division. I think they have one of the best front sevens in the conference. I think Luke Altmaier could hit at quarterback, and if he does, then that offense could be electric. And then also, like second place, I have Rutgers, who could be a surprise. I could make a case for a 7-win Rutgers team. They have a pretty easy schedule. It's if they can build some momentum, they can definitely win 7 or 8 games.
All right, Core.
I think it's whoever comes out of the West. I
Okay.
mean, I think whoever comes out of the West is going to be a surprise. I mean, to be honest, I think I probably would pick Northwestern. If Northwestern wins like 2 or 3 games, that seems like that would be surprising to anybody. So, I mean, I think anyone who comes out of the West, I mean, Wisconsin, they have high expectations, but if they make the championship game, it's a surprise. If Iowa makes the championship game, it's a surprise. If anybody else makes the championship game, it's a surprise. You could also go Nebraska. Nebraska wins 6 games and is bowl eligible. That's probably a surprise to most people. So
Yep. All right.
whoever comes
Yeah.
out of the West.
Now for these next two, Core, I have some stipulations that I'm just dropping live on the show to you and I only. For these next two categories, you and I are not allowed to pick Ohio State or Michigan.
Okay.
They cannot be on one of our selections, okay?
Okay.
So for the Big Ten championship game, the preseason outlook, since I'm not allowed to pick Ohio State or Michigan, I'm going to go with Penn State out of the East, and out of the West, most likely will be Wisconsin. However, I'm going to go with what Drew and Ethan said just a moment ago. I'm going to have Penn State versus Illinois, with the champion being Penn State.
Could have gave it to the West, dude.
It's been
I
a
just-
long time coming.
One last ride.
One last ride, yeah. So
One-
that's my title game and champion. Let's just follow that same format there.
That's exactly what I had.
Yep. You had Penn State, Illinois. Okay.
Yeah,
Made that simple. All right, Drew.
that's exactly what I had.
I all week I've been going back and forth. Ohio State, Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan. I think in the end, I think it's just the Michigan schedule is so soft. It would be an incredible disappointment if they didn't run the table or at least lose one. So I got Michigan versus Illinois, and I'll take the Illini to win the conference
I like it.
and play spoiler for the playoff.
Okay. Drew going
Well,
spoiler. Not this isn't a spoiler. This is
A prediction.
fact. Go ahead.
I'm trying. I want to pick somebody else other than Penn State, but if I can't pick Michigan or Ohio State, it feels like it would be Penn State. So I'll go Penn State and I'll go Iowa on the other side because I think if Iowa can put it all together, I think Iowa will be there. I think Iowa can play defense better than most teams in the Big Ten, have the talent on offense. If Cade is healthy, it feels like he'll give them something more than what they got last year out of the quarterback position, and I think they'll be there. If it's Penn State and Iowa, I'm going to take Iowa. Cade can beat Penn State. He did it before, so I'll take Iowa to win the Big Ten.
I like it. Play a spoiler as well. Okay. So those are the Big Ten. Those are just our little preseason little awards there. We'll circle back at the end to see what is going on. I do want to talk here real quick. Let's get a little preview here of week 1 because we had week 0 yesterday. Notre Dame beat the heck out of Navy in Dublin, Ireland, with a little luck of the Irish on their side. And then USC did not look too impressive in their game last night against San Jose State, but
USC defense got some problems.
That
rush defense.
But they did escape with a win.
Escape? I don't know that they
didn't they double them up?
They still scored 40. Okay, they still scored 40.
Yeah, but that's because
like 56 to 28.
Yeah, that's because San Jose State ran out of gas in the second half.
They gave up 28 points to San Jose State. Isn't that a problem?
That's a problem.
Yeah, it did.
San Jose State is pretty decent though. Shavon Cordero is the man.
The only thing I'll say about
Ohio
USC
State gives up
is
28 to Indiana this weekend.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. That's what I'm saying. You give up 28 points.
The one thing I'll say about USC is we don't expect them to play defense. We expect them to score 50. So if they score 50, their defense only has to get one stop.
Truth.
That's fair.
And it's week 1. Not even week 1, sorry.
And it's
week 0.
The first game of the year. They haven't had, you haven't had full-on contact against another team, just playing against your own guys. So a lot of things to work out in week 1.
Bad weather at California. It's just a terrible time.
So the Big Ten officially will kick off on Thursday this week, the 31st.
Hell yeah.
Nebraska at Minnesota, 8 p.m. on Fox. Then Michigan State will host Central Michigan on Fox Sports 1. And then Friday night. Yeah, that's Friday night. And then Saturday, we get the bulk of the games. East Carolina travels to Ann Arbor. Utah State travels to Des Moines. Fresno State travels to West Lafayette. Ohio State will make a trip to Bloomington to make their first appearance on CBS in probably a very long time. Buffalo will travel to Madison to take on the Badgers on FS1. Towson takes on Maryland at 3:30 on Big Ten Network. West Virginia will take on Penn State at primetime NBC for their NBC's kickoff of the Big Ten. And then Toledo will travel to Illinois for a primetime game on Big Ten Network. And then Sunday, we'll get who we probably all think may be the bottom of the barrel of the Big Ten. Northwestern travels to New Jersey to take on the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers on 12 o'clock noon CBS. Football's back.
That away, baby.
Football's back.
Yep. And Big Ten kicks off with game of the week. Game, I'd say 1A, Nebraska, Minnesota.
Yep.
I got a couple others highlighted here.
Who do you got highlighted?
Central Mish at Sparty Friday night. Something to watch. 14.5 is only the line. I don't know how good Central Mish is. They don't return a whole lot. Could be sketch.
They're pretty sketchy.
Could also be a beatdown. And then I highlighted Fresno State at Purdue. Might want to
be fun.
Take the Fresno State Bulldogs. And then the game I'll be watching Saturday night, Toledo at Illinois. I think that's going to be a hell of a game where, 9 points seems like too much to give Illinois. That's going to be a great slate. Couple blowouts guaranteed.
The only
which you get.
The only game that you have highlighted that that you didn't was the West Virginia Penn State primetime NBC matchup. I think that's going to be a surprisingly great game. First game of the year.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be watching it because West Virginia this year is going to be.
I think they're going to be good.
They're going to be good. And obviously Neil Brown is like the number one hot seat in America. So WV is going to be motivated early on in the year. I don't think they get this win, but I think it's
Do they
maybe more
cover?
competitive than we think.
Do they cover 20.5?
No,
Maybe.
I think it's going to be close because I think Penn State starting Drew Aller, I think is going to be a problem to start the first couple quarters. It's going to be a feeling out process.
Mhm.
Who's winning at half?
Probably Penn State, but I would say it's probably like a 21-10, 21-14 game at halftime. I think Penn. It,
I
I
don't
don't
think Penn
believe in
State
James
covers
Franklin.
21 at
I
20
don't
and a half.
believe in James Franklin. I don't think he's going to have his team ready. Penn State should and could blow the doors off them, but it feels like Drew Aller will make a few mistakes in the first half that overthrows or just young quarterback things that happen when trying to dial up a long pass. You have the wide receiver wide open and you overthrow him by 3-4 yards, underthrow him by 3 or 4 yards. Things
Yeah.
happen.
The next question on following that is Iowa negative -25 hosting Utah State. Not 100% Cade McNamara. Suspensions across the board. How do we feel?
They don't cover.
Do they lose? At home.
I don't think they'll lose. I don't think their defense will give up more than 2 touchdowns. So it feels like if their offense can they should be able to run the ball enough to win the game. But I
Say,
don't
is it
think they'll
first to
cover.
20 in that game?
Yeah, first to 10.
I think it's first to the field goal.
Is it
3-3.
I
First
definitely
to
think
field goal.
I definitely think Utah State can cover that 25. I don't think they're winning it, but I definitely think they can cover the 25.
Okay.
They've got a really good coach. Team won 11 games 2 years ago.
Is the easier cover Ohio State -30.5 at Indiana or Wisconsin -28 hosting Buffalo?
Ohio State.
I think Ohio State covering against
Ohio State.
Indiana.
Ohio State will run the ball for 200+ yards and score probably 4 or 5 touchdowns on the ground. And then you have to assume that the quarterbacks, both of them, will probably play and air it out for a couple touchdowns each, probably. Marvin Harrison Jr. will be out by the end of the first quarter.
That's the
I
goal.
want to-
That's the goal.
I want
I
to say
mean,
that
once you're up 14-0, he could probably sit on the bench.
Also, guys, real quick, one thing I do want to ask your guys' opinion on. After seeing it, in like actually in a game now with college football, how did you guys like the no clock stoppage after the first down? Did you guys watch the games yesterday at all? Did you guys get a chance?
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't notice it too much.
Yeah, I don't. I like it. I don't think it's going to come into effect until you have a big football game that's in the fourth quarter. That it's going to come to that. It may have moved the game along a little faster. It felt like Notre Dame was playing for 10 hours when I was watching that game, and that could have just been NBC's awful commercial.
Ask me how I feel after the Florida State game.
Okay.
Right. I mean, yeah, I think in big games, conference games, you'll notice it a lot more. But
Put that on the schedule for next week.
I think
come back around to it.
blowouts are just going to make it easier. The game will go by faster in the fourth quarter in blowouts.
Absolutely.
More money, less screen time.
Yeah. One thing I just noticed, like from when I was watching, like the Notre Dame game, was that, and this was like kind of like it was like in the fourth quarter, so it obviously didn't matter because the game was over anyways. But I noticed like they forgot to stop the clock, like because like after like the 2 minute warning, now in the fourth quarter, the clock stops after a first down, so they forgot to stop it. And like there was like 29 seconds left on the clock, and they're like, "Oh, please reset the clock to 55 seconds." I forget. Maybe it wasn't the Notre Dame game. I was maybe watching a different game last night, but I did see that, and I was like, huh, that's kind of funny.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was just very interesting. So, we may see some hiccups with that because it's not like something that we're, used to. We're used to the clock stopping. But I am interested to see though how that will affect those big games. How like the coaches coach, the second half, in those big games. So, that's all I had here for us this week. Just getting those like little games, games we want to look out for next week. Saturday, are you guys traveling, Drew and Ethan, next week?
Nope.
No games on the slate?
Saturday, I've got local plans for a cookout.
Okay, no worries. Well, in the morning, Corey and I plan on coming on, so if you guys want to join, well, I'll send obviously the link. Um, you guys can join in Saturday. We're just gonna go probably live around like 10 a.m., 11, right before,
So gracious of you.
yeah, just like
Yeah, like 10 to
little,
12. Like
yeah,
10 to
10 to
12.
12. Just do like
9:30 to
little,
12,
our
whatever.
own little game day thing here, just so we could, Corey and
Am
I
I allowed to
normally,
start pre-gaming on the air? Or?
yeah, you can. Fuck it. Who cares?
It's Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday,
It's
man.
Get up. It's game day.
It's get up, it's game day, yeah.
time. It's finally
Um,
time. And we'll have stuff to talk about from Thursday and Friday night. Mel Tucker's
yep,
getting fired Saturday morning. So
yep. And yeah, we'll be able to talk about, we'll definitely be able to
That
recap.
huge Central win.
oh, Central wins by 2 tutties.
The Matt
Yeah,
Rule upset.
Call in the
absolutely.
guard.
And then we'll be able to, go in a little more detail with like some of these games, have a little longer to talk about everything, bullshit, do
I'll,
our thing.
I'll get
Oh
on.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
if
get
you
on the
wanna,
sport books before we get there
yep, get
with
on the
some
sports
updated odds.
booking. We'll get some
Oh, yeah.
updated odds. I know Corey and I plan on placing a few parlays Saturday, so we'll let you guys in on what we're doing as well, live on air. But that we'll go
Make a
through it.
segment for it now that the season's in.
Yep. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yep, we'll make that. And it's again only bet disclaimer. For those segments, this is what we feel
Yep.
comfortable betting on. We are only betting money that we feel comfortable losing. Or willing to wager. So please
Play
gamble.
responsibly.
Yes, sir. Gamble responsibly, please.
Put that little phone number at the bottom.
I don't have it, but yeah, we
Yeah.
could get that.
Yeah.
And don't gamble
Just
if you're playing college football currently.
yeah. Please don't. We
Yeah,
You'll get
or
enjoy seeing
suspended.
don't
all
do
the
it at
players.
the don't do it on campus or at your facilities if you're in the NFL either. Kind of
Yeah.
fucking my fantasy team up a little bit, but no
Yeah,
worries.
I need you this year. I don't want to bring this trophy home next year again. So
Yeah. Yeah, just don't bet
be
on
careful.
sports.
Don't get caught.
Yeah, and don't
What?
use your parents' accounts. I don't know how that all came out, like how they could prove that he placed the bet through his mom's account, but okay. So just gamble responsibly. Players,
Mom's
if
a
you're,
narc. That's what that comes down to.
yeah, mom's a narc. Don't gamble if it's currently on, if you're on a team, please. Um,
It's just for fun. I mean,
yeah,
don't blow yourself out. $1, $5.
yeah. Don't think you're gonna turn,
Quick rush of dopamine. Yeah, you don't need
yeah,
to turn to 20-leg parlay. Stop
yeah,
following the internet, the memes, the Drake bets.
yeah.
You don't need to bet 25,000 to win $700.
Right,
Go Middle
exactly.
Tennessee State.
Right, exactly, exactly. So yeah, just we'll catch you guys then. We'll see you on Saturday for our little college game day. Just take it easy, guys.
Deuces. There's Corey's balloons.